So Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it, Clark.
So can you tell me a little bit about Dataminr?
Dataminr is about 10 years old. Dataminr uses publicly available information to provide alerts to our clients. Our typical client consists, it's across every single industry, but our typical client consists of security teams that want to get information before the news actually gets it.
Fantastic. So Dataminr itself uses a lot of AI and ML technologies to help your clients. How are you using AI and ML within your security organization?
So the biggest thing for us is compliance. When it looks at publicly available information, we can't alert on tweets that aren't public. So as we are shifting through the data stream that comes in from Twitter, if a user actually deletes their tweet, we can't use that in our alert. So the thing for us is we need to train our ML models that as soon as that tweet gets deleted, we actually have to delete it out of our alerting stream so it doesn't go out to clients. So that's the toughest thing for us, is to make sure that our models are constantly trained so that they see that delete alert come out and remove it from the alert stream. And that's pretty hard because I think it's something like 500 million tweets a day, and I think it's something around 15 million deletes a day. So that's why it causes a lot of issues for us, but fixable stuff.
So do you actually have data scientists on your security team?
We don't have data scientists on our security team, but we have a function within the data science team that security has visibility into and influence on how they're building their models, especially when we're coming to not just the publicly available information. We're actually starting to look at different types of data sets. Look, data's the new oil. We want all kind of data.
Right.
And the fact that we could alert on data just for like safety issues, but we could also alert on data to provide like competitive advantage or to sell it back to kind of like advertisers and stuff like that. Data scientists want all of that data. And sometimes we got to pull the reins back and say, that's the type of stuff that we have to like be cautious on how we deliver that data. So we have a lot of visibility into that. They typically come to security right off the bat and say, this is the type of data we're looking at getting from this different source. Help us shift through it and make sure that it's nothing sensitive or that we can legally take it.
Got it. So as we go a little bit deeper about how your security teams are organized, how do you help the company as a whole, or within your security organization specifically, build that culture of security within Dataminr?
That's a great question. Culture is the most important thing when it comes to security. At the end of the day, security, look, technology is technology, but security, implementing security into a technology organization is a culture shift. You have to change the mindset for developers and technology as a whole, or the technology organization as a whole. The one thing that I wanted to do at Dataminr is I wanted to make security a customer service organization. I didn't want to come in and say, you're doing things wrong or you can't do anything. I don't ever want the developers to feel like they can't come to security because we're going to say no.
Right.
I'm going to say yes to everything, but I'm going to say there's a risk associated to it. And these are the things that need to be thought of before we actually put it into kind of like production or put it into a sprint to actually roll out.
So a yes, but, right?
A yes, but always, yes.
Okay.
There's always a yes, but. And look, most CISOs won't say this, but there's going to be decisions that we're going to have to accept the risk,
right,
and move forward with it and say, look, we're willing to accept that risk for this period of time or indefinite because we just don't feel like it's going to, impact us that much. So it's positioning security so that it's viewed as that customer service organization instead of that roadblock.
And then how about development talent on your security team? Can your security operations folks and security engineers, do they actually have true development skills, and or are you developing a pipeline for them to achieve those skills?
No, that's a great question. So I do have one application security developer on the security team. And how we did that was this person has 20 years experience, spent the first 10 years of their career as an actual software developer, and then the last 10 years they've been in security. And what that person's actually doing is understanding the pipeline and how code is actually being pushed out by a development organization, and then seeing where we could put security so that it doesn't disrupt that actual pipeline and slow things down. So where we can integrate kind of like static and dynamic code analysis tools into that flow that's non-intrusive to the developer. The developer actually doesn't even feel sometimes when that's actually happening.
That's fantastic.
And then we'll get the report, we can then triage it and then put it into their sprint and saying, these are the type of things that we actually want you to remediate versus these are the ones that we either were willing to take a risk or it just doesn't apply. So I don't want to put an application security developer in each one of the squads.
Okay.
So what we've done is the application security developer that's on the security team has come up with secure code training.
Okay.
That secure code training is offered out to the entire development organization. All of our squads are broken up into like 4 or 5 developers each.
Okay.
And what we do is we take one developer out of each squad, and they go to that one-day classroom experience with our application security developer. They go back to their squad, and for a 3-month period, they are considered the secure coding resource for that squad.
Oh, great.
And then the tools that we use for static and dynamic code analysis, our application security developer reviews that, sees the threats that he sees are valuable, and sends it to that secure coding resource for that squad.
Okay.
And then it's on the accountability of that secure coding resource to say, yes, this is value I'm putting into my sprint, or it doesn't apply. And then every 3 months, we rotate that the secure code resource. So that means that over a 15th or 16-month period, each single developer in all squads would have gone through secure code training.
That's fantastic.
It spreads out the accountability. The other thing, it doesn't extend like the security budget of hiring so many application security engineers.
And they're hard to find.
They're hard to find. Two, they're expensive, and they should be because they're valuable. But I don't want to have to, go out and look for so many when I could hire one and come up with that program and put the accountability back into the development organization.
So it sounds like you're making security easy for your developers to follow, or at least that seems to be the goal, right?
Yes, and easy is a very it's tough to say, but easy is the word that developers like to hear, right? They don't want things to disrupt their flow. They're very unique in how they actually put out code. So making it easy or making it frictionless and very seamless for them is the best way to get security into that pipeline.
By making security more seamless through the development process, have you or the business seen an impact to the bottom line for this? Are you able to release products and services much quicker now, and how is that affecting the business overall?
It's not just pushing things out more quicker; it's more confidence.
Okay.
So it's getting to the point that there's a lot more confidence in the pipeline and in code being delivered, that there's not a lot of rework to actually patch or anything like that.
Sure.
Given that confidence allows for the developers to actually take a risk. We want developers to be innovative and come up with crazy ideas. And if they feel that the pipeline or the program that we have in place for catching these type of bugs is there, and look, the security team's got their back, they are going to be able to say, I want to test out this service, take a little bit of different risk because we're going to have some controls in the back end. I want security to be on the forefront of pushing innovation and pushing the developers to say, I do want to take a risk with this data because I know that, the platform has us, or the security team has controls in place that we can catch it before it actually impacts the business. I think that needs to be the shift in security now in the industry, is that it pushes innovation forward instead of making a lot of folks think of security as a roadblock, right? And I want to take it from a different stance and actually make it so that it enables the business.
As you know, infrastructure is code, security is code, and working in the cloud allows companies such as yourself to automate a lot of the processes that used to be manual on-prem. How are you and your security organization and maybe the broader Dataminr organization leveraging automation to be more efficient?
That's a great question. I'm a huge fan of automation. I feel that automation can actually accomplish a lot of those mundane tasks that security professionals are kind of like tired of, and things just don't line up when it comes to the lack of resources that security organizations have. If you think about it, I want more automation because I don't have the bodies to actually do all of this manual work.
Right.
Security is the only field in the world with negative unemployment, right? So it's very hard for CISOs to actually find talent to fill some of these gaps. So using automation helps me do that, right? For like AWS, in particular, you can do anything with a Lambda, really. Right. I want to write a Lambda to find my keys in the morning. Right. There's things that could be done with Lambda. So putting things into your platform or your AWS infrastructure to catch certain triggers that the security team sets, S3 bucket unencrypted, or security group is opening up ports to the world, right? Those things you could set CloudTrail and CloudWatch alarms to actually capture that. And then you could automate and say, based off of this alarm, I want a Lambda function to go and fix it and kill that issue. We have a lot of that automated right now. We've built that. That is what we're considering security as code. But that is only scratching the surface of what we could actually do. We're fixing infrastructure issues, right? S3 buckets unencrypted, open ports. Can we get to the point where we could actually fix application issues? Possibly, right? If you look at like AWS's WAF, right? If we could actually say, I want AWS vulnerability, like the inspector tool to find a vulnerability. If it's something that's related to an application, could it call a Lambda function to write a WAF rule to protect me against that until I push it to the application developers to push a patch? All of that technology exists. Are we doing it yet? Not there, but it's possible. And that's where I want to push the security organization, one, to do that, and two, for Dataminr and other organizations to accept that as a legitimate fix until we fill in the gap of the resource issue that all CISOs are facing, right?
Sure.
And it's not just on the CISO side. DevOps engineers are very hard to find as well,
right?
So when security teams find something, give it to DevOps and say, please fix it, they're lacking in resources as well. So, embracing innovation and embracing automation is the way to actually get over this hump. As long as AWS continues to push out services like this, it helps us, right? And that's why I value the partnership that AWS offers, because these insights that we provide, it helps you guys innovate and push things out there to help us take more advantage of it. So it's definitely a win-win for all parties involved.
Fantastic. As you continue to automate more and more, let's just call them the more mundane security functions that we know are sort of known bads, right? And then you're automating those. Do you see a day where you're going to be able to free up some of those security resources to perhaps work on more innovative business challenges where security can really help, especially in your industry as a security intelligence provider, for lack of a better term?
No, absolutely. That's exactly what the model that we're trying to grow towards, is getting the platform to the point where we have that feeling that automation is going to take care of a lot of these mundane tasks, and then give time back to the security team so they can work with product and design and incorporate security as part of our product into our customers, right? Offering things like two-factor authentication as an optional component, right?
Sure.
Could we bring in biometrics to that? Like, let's start innovating and doing things like that. But again, freeing up the time from my resources to actually do that, it depends a lot on the automation that we put into the platform.
So Brian, as your organization continues to take advantage more of AWS services and the features and products that we have, and you see your peers in your community, what are some of the more striking security challenges that you're seeing from CISOs such as yourself in adopting the cloud?
That's a really good question. I think it's all about awareness. I think a lot of CISOs sometimes have that fear of where's the responsibility when it comes to actually storing information in the cloud.
Right.
I think AWS does a really good job of articulating the shared responsibility model.
Right.
I think for CISOs to actually take that leap forward and endorse either moving to the cloud or being born in the cloud is to really understand that shared responsibility model and see where the responsibility of the organization is versus where the organization of AWS, or where the responsibility of AWS is. I think that's very important because it's going to really help drive not just your migration to the cloud or being born in the cloud, but how you build things out and how you maintain things.
Right.
A lift and shift is probably not the right approach when you're going to the cloud.
Okay.
You definitely need to look at your tech stack, re-architecting it with security in mind, and keeping in mind that you are now responsible for the data infrastructure. AWS is definitely going to help you out. Understanding that, it really helps push things forward. The other thing is, I think more CISOs nowadays are accepting of the cloud.
And then as the organization gets more cloud friendly and the security teams get more cloud friendly, is that when you really start to ramp up the security culture aspect of things so that's more pervasive, or do you do it during your cloud migration? What's the best?
I think the best approach is you definitely have to do it during the cloud migration, so that you get the culture used to actually operating in this method. And once the organization is truly committed to saying we are cloud or we're going 100% cloud, that's when you really have to start putting that security culture into the workflow. You can't do it after. If you do it after, I think it's just going to defeat the purpose. And the work product will be impacted because that means it was migrated or built in the cloud without security in mind. So you definitely have to do it, prior or during the migration.
At Dataminr and your previous organization, you've had the opportunity to be at really a leading edge organization as far as looking at how do I embrace the cloud? How do I leverage it for my business? How do I leverage it for my security organization? Where do you see this all going in, let's just say, the next 5 years or so?
That's a great question. I think a lot of organizations are going to start taking advantage of all of these advanced features that the cloud are offering to enable business to move forward, right? I think before it took a long time for actually organizations to actually put a product out there, right? And the fact that cloud allows you to actually really, from the moment you come up with a concept to the actual you deliver it, you could really do this pretty quickly, right? Doing it right and quickly is the key, right? And I think organizations are starting to really figure out that is possible nowadays. It is absolutely possible to do it. Having that framework and looking at how you actually build it out, security as design or security by design is probably the best approach to actually do something like that. But I think organizations are really starting to realize that that's possible. and embracing the cloud and saying, I'm willing to either, it's not so much about taking a risk, it's about architecting it with risk in mind, right? Architecting your cloud.
Risk management.
Risk management, basically, and taking that mindset of, I can only put things in a box because it's a data center. Not anymore, right? I think cloud services allow you to actually think outside of the box and put security, within that workflow. I think one thing that I push very hard on my security teams is I don't ever want my security teams to ever be accused of having a lack of imagination, right? And I think the cloud allows the security engineers on the team to have that imagination, saying, I could use all kinds of services to fix issues that CISOs have been trying to fix for the past 30 years, and we haven't been able to actually do a good job with it. I think now we can get innovative, creative, disruptive with these services to come up with the right approach within workflows that organizations are looking for.
And effectively no limits, right?
No, exactly. There is no limits, and that's what we want. We want the handcuffs off. We don't want to be put into a box and try to solve things that, again, we haven't been able to solve for the past 20, 30 years. So I think that it allows us, as AWS services allow us, or cloud services just allow us to actually do that and have that different mindset. You do need to think differently if you're trying to solve 21st century problems, right?
Brian, thank you so much for joining us today on Conversation with Leaders.
Thanks for the opportunity, Clark.